Hi guys, thank you for joining me for another online yoga class. Today's class is going to be all about letting go. So we tend to hold a lot of tension and emotional stress within our hip joints. So we're going to be working especially with opening these up. This is going to be a deep stretch class, so it is going to be requiring quite a bit of flexibility, or we're working in that direction. If you feel any pain in the joints, make sure you back off out of it. The hip joint is a ball and socket joint, which means it has quite a high range of motion. It can work with internal, external rotation, abduction and adduction, and flexion and extension. We're going to be trying to get as many of these postures in as possible to help increase the range of mobility within the hips and hopefully open up through some of the emotional scars that may have built up around the area. I'm going to be bringing along a couple of blocks and a rolled up blanket in lieu of a bolster. So if you have any of these things, feel free to bring those along. If not, a couple of cushions or blocks or books will be just as good as well. I hope you enjoy the class. Namaste. So we're going to start in a comfortable seated position. You can sit up on a block or a cushion if that's more comfortable. You can take Chin or Gyan Mudra by connecting your index finger and your thumb with the remaining 3 fingers stretched out, palms face up, or place your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly, beginning to connect to your breath. Taking deep breaths in and out through the nose, creating a small restriction to the back of the throat as you exhale, making the breath audible. And today we're going to be working with belly breathing, feeling the journey of the breath travel in through the nose, lifting the chest, and then journeying all the way down into the belly. If your right hand is on your belly, feel the breath expanding, pushing the abdomen out. If you wanted to set yourself an intention for the practice, now is a wonderful opportunity to do that. Softly bring the palms together at the heart center. Open the eyes, Namaste. We're going to come into a child's pose, Balasana. You can either come onto your shins with knees mat distance apart, or you can bring your knees together. Coming to extend your arms out in front, you can release your forehead down to the mat, or you can release your arms alongside the body, palms face up. If your forehead doesn't reach the floor, you can use a block underneath your forehead for support. And if you find that your hips don't reach your ankles and you have a blanket, you can place the blanket over the tops of the heels and sit back. Find a position where you feel comfortable and grounded, but you also feel a soft opening in the hips, opening through the shoulders. Allow the mind to quiet. If you set yourself an intention for the practice with each breath in, allow your intention to flood your body with your breath. And as you exhale, you let go of anything that no longer serves you. Taking one more deep breath in. As we exhale, we side bend over towards the right, reaching the hands out towards the right hand side, getting a lateral stretch through the left side body. Make sure your left hip stays grounded down to either the blanket or your heels. And when you're ready, moving over to the left side. Feeling a lovely stretch through the right side body, the right ribs and the right shoulder. Pressing the right hip down towards the heel, opening up through the hips. One more deep breath. And inhale, bring your hands back to center. Coming into a thread the needle variation, bring your left hand underneath your right, coming down to rest on your left ear, looking out towards the right hand side. Maintaining a steady breath. Breathing deep, even if as you twist it gets a little bit more restricted. Inhale, coming back through center. Exhale, right hand underneath the left arm, releasing the right ear down towards the mat, looking towards the left. As we inhale, come back to center, press back into your child's pose. And then begin to walk your hands up. We're going to come into a Balasana hero pose variation, opening up through the hip flexors, so stretching out the fronts of the legs. You can either sit back to the heels if that's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you can sit up on a block, slightly reducing the pressure on the knees. If you're not feeling so much of a stretch in the hip flexors here, you can separate your feet to a little bit wider than hips distance apart and sit between your heels. There should be no pain in the knees here. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, you can lean back, resting on the elbows, propping yourself up, expanding your chest. And to take it even deeper into the hip flexors, the psoas muscles, you can come all the way down onto your back. Bear in mind this is a gentle back bend, so listen to that. If it feels painful or you feel compression in the lower spine, ease off. You can rest your hands on your belly, or you can bring opposite hand to opposite elbow overhead if you're reclined all the way back. Just check in that the knees aren't falling out to the sides. They should be no wider than hips distance apart. There should be no pain in the ankles. And if none of these poses are working for you, you feel pain in the knees, you can just come to lay down on your back and draw your knees in towards your chest. Taking just one more deep breath here. And then if you're reclined, very gently, slowly as you need to, prop up onto your elbows and then walk your hands up one at a time, returning to a kneeling position. Gently bring your knees back to the center line first, and then release them, taking any movements that feel nice. Moving into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Bring the soles of the feet together. You can bring your hands to the outside of the hips to lengthen the spine. If it's not accessible, you can bring blocks underneath your knees to help support you. If you'd rather try without the blocks, just let gravity gently draw your knees down towards the floor. Folding forward, reaching forward with the chest. Draw the elbows in towards the thighs, staying long as you can through the spine. Visualize yourself drawing your chin down towards the floor in front of your feet. Taking one more deep breath in and out through the nose. If you're comfortable, you're more than welcome to stay in this variation. If you wanted to take a slightly more passive variation, then as we inhale, we come back up through center, we lengthen the spine and lift the chest. And then as we exhale, we round through the back, this time thinking bringing the forehead towards the toes, allowing the head to hang heavy, stretching out the back of the neck.
If this is painful in the back of the neck, then just come back into the same variation you were in, or feel free to use a block to support your forehead. Taking just a couple more inhales and exhales in this variation, really become aware of how you're feeling within your hips and the inner thighs as they stretch, opening out to the side. Try to allow a passive release without stories, without judgment. And then as we inhale, come all the way back up to the top. Take a little lift at the top to help extend through the spine. Coming into Upavista Konasana, seated wide leg forward fold. Bring the feet out to a comfortably wide distance, enough to feel a stretch in the inner thighs. Knees should be facing up, toes should be facing up. You can bring your hands to the outside of the hips and lengthen, or you can bring your palms out in front, maybe dropping down onto the forearms. You can use a block to help you. And if you'd like, you can support your face within your hands. If you have a bolster or a blanket, this can be a lovely tool to help you surrender to the posture a little bit deeper by bringing it in front of you and folding forward. Try to lengthen out as much as you can as opposed to rounding down. Think reach forward with the crown of the head. You should be feeling a gentle stretch in the inner thighs. There should be no pain in the hips. If there's pain, it could be an indication you forced yourself a little bit too far. You should be able to remain soft in the head, the jaw. Taking one more deep breath in through the nose. As we exhale, allow yourself to surrender completely to the posture. Feel heavy through your upper body. And then when you're ready, release the hold of the block or the bolster if you had it. Gently walk your hands back up. Again, taking a little lift at the top to help lengthen out the spine. Remove any blocks or props you had out of the way. And gently bring your legs back to center, taking any movements that feel good here. From here, we're going to move into Ekapada Raja Kapotasana, one-legged king pigeon pose. So you're going to bring your right foot forward just inside the right hand, and then heel toe your right foot over towards your left wrist, placing the right knee down towards the right wrist. This may feel like enough of a stretch. Or you can bring your left foot back, beginning to sink the hips down. You may or may not need a block underneath your right hip for support, but trying to keep the hips as squared as you can. And it's okay if that right heel comes back towards the left hip. It's just a different kind of stretch. If the right shin is more parallel with the front of the mat, you should be feeling a stretch in the right buttock, stretching out the 6 deep lateral rotators. Try to move into a point where you feel an intense stretch, but no pain. You should be able to maintain your deep breath practice. Allowing the mind to shut off of any judgments or stories, how you think you should look or feel. And then when you're ready, as slowly as you need to, you can begin to walk your hands back up. If you had a block, you can release the block, placing the hip down. We're going to come into Dvipada Raja Kapotasana, two-leg king pigeon now, or a variation of that. So for the first option, you're going to bring both shins towards parallel, stacked in front of each other. For the second option, you're going to bring your left leg on top of your right. So the knee may or may not reach the ankle. You can place the block under there if it doesn't. And you may need to place a block underneath your right knee as well. There should be no pain in your left ankle or either of the knees. If there is pain, come into a different variation or just a crossed legs position. To deepen the stretch, you may want to fold forward or fold over towards the right. So bringing the forehead towards the top toe. This should help deepen the stretch in the external hip rotators. Feeling it in the left glute. Try to breathe deep as the intensity builds. This is quite an advanced posture and requires a lot of mobility in the hips. So be gentle with yourself if you're not quite there today. Taking one more deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And then gently coming back through center, we're going to switch the legs. So you can modify the same way that we did on the other side. It's normal to not be symmetrical with flexibility in the hips. So as before, you can sit cross legs with the shins working towards parallel, or bring your right foot towards the left knee, right knee towards the left ankle, using blocks or props to support as you need to. There should be no pain in the right ankle or the knees. You can fold forward if you wanted to take a deeper stretch, or over towards the left. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it go. And then very gently as we inhale, you can bring yourself back to the center position, lifting back up into your seat. Release the ankles. We're going to come into Ekapada Raja Kapotasana on the other side, so King Pigeon over the left leg. So you can come at it from a different position, or you can just bring your right leg behind you. You can stay lifted, or you can begin to extend your right leg back, maybe placing the left sit bone onto a block. That left heel can come more towards the hip or more towards parallel with the front edge of the mat. Allow yourself to surrender to the posture, feeling an opening in the left glute. As well, probably feeling a stretch in the right hip flexor, the front of the right leg. Breathe deep. Notice any stories your mind begins to circulate towards yourself and let them go. Allow your body to heal, releasing from any emotional scars that may be stored in the hips. If any emotions crop up, let them be. Don't attach stories or judgments, just accept them. Taking just a couple more breaths here. And then inhale, begin to press back into the hands. Release the block from underneath your left hip. And just come back to a tabletop position on your hands and knees, lowering down onto the belly. We're going to come into a Sphinx Pose by bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, lifting the chest and looking forward, forearms parallel, tops of the feet flat. If this feels a bit intense on the lumbar spine, you can always shift the elbows forward slightly. Keep lifted through the chest. Allow the shoulders to draw down away from the ears and draw up through the crown of the head. Avoid activating the glutes. Allow the legs to rest. Maybe even the heels begin to roll out to the side slightly. So we're working with stretching out the hips here. If this does feel like a stretch already through the front side of the body, this may be enough for you here. The next option I'm going to give you, half frog, is going to be quite an intense hip flexor stretch. So move very gently, don't force it. If there's any pain in the knee, then just back off. So firstly, we're going to bring our left forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat, grounding down through the hand. We're going to bend our right knee and grab it with our right hand. If you can, you're going to begin to bring the fingers in line with the toes and the elbows up. And to take it even further, you're going to press into the left hand and look forward. This is an extreme frontline opener. You're not only opening through the chest, the belly, but also through the hip flexors, the quadriceps, and through the ankles as well. So we won't be holding it for too much longer. As we release, Make sure you do so gently, coming back down onto the forearm, a gentle release of the leg. Try to avoid it popping out of the hand. Come back to center. Take a breath. And when you're ready, we'll come onto it on the other side. So coming onto the forearm with the right hand parallel with the front of the mat, reaching towards the toes, holding the foot from either the inside or bringing the fingertips in line with the toes, elbow up, maybe beginning to extend through the right hand. Try to avoid the knee falling out to the side. We want the knees to be no wider than hips distance apart. Maintain a steady breath. And then as gently as you can, we're going to release. Just taking a couple breaths in your Sphinx Pose. We're going to come down onto our backs now for Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound angle pose. You may want your blocks and a bolster here, if you have it, to come into a slightly more supportive, restorative version of the posture. So I like to align my bolster so that as I lay back, it's supporting my entire length of the spine. Make sure it's supporting your head as well. Bring the blocks out to the side, so as we release the knees down towards the floor, the blocks will support them, bringing the soles of the feet together. You may need to readjust here as you begin to come down into the posture. You can rest your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly, or release your arms alongside the body depending on what feels more comfortable to you here. Allow gravity to gently draw the hips open. Tune into how you're feeling within your body without attaching stories. Let go. Feel the breath traveling in through the chest to the belly. And now is a wonderful opportunity to reconnect to your intention. With each breath in, feel your intention traveling down with your breath. And with each breath out, you let go of anything that no longer serves you, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. Now you are more than welcome to stay in your Supta Baddha Konasana If you wanted to come into a more traditional Shavasana, then you can bring your blocks underneath your knees, bringing your feet out to the front corners of the mat. Take your blanket, if you have one. Cover yourself up, keeping in the heat, the energy. If you have a pillow, you can place that underneath your head. If you have an eye pillow or an eye mask, you can use that here. Become still and heavy. Allow the earth to support you and hold you as your body processes the work you've done. And then begin to deepen your breath once more, feeling the belly expanding as you inhale. As you exhale, you let go. Then as you breathe in, take the deepest breath you've taken throughout your whole practice, hold it at the top. Exhale, let it go through the mouth. And then begin to warm up the body, wiggling through the fingers and the toes. Moving through to your wrists and your ankles. And then taking any stretch that feels good to you. When you're ready, begin to roll over onto your left hand side. Showing gratitude for turning up to your practice today. You can either reiterate your intention to yourself, or now is a wonderful opportunity to set yourself a new intention. Gently prop yourself back up to a seat, bringing the palms together at the heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. As you go forward, I wish you peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart. Namaste.